Hello everyone, if you saw the news or my last video, you would know FNAF is coming to Dead by Daylight. We know the killer will most likely be Springtrap since they are the most requested out of the franchise because they are the antagonists of the series. So, in today's video, I will be talking about all possible moments the entity could bring Springtrap into the fog. First, I will say I am not the first person to make a video on this subject, and you should definitely check out these 3 videos I have on the screen. The videos can be found in the description of this video. You should definitely check them out. Now to start off, the first point in the timeline that the entity could take Springtrap is when William gets spring-locked. This is the least likely option on this list because William isn't even spring-trapped at this point and still has many years he has to wait in his suit sealed in the back room to become Springtrap. So if the entity took Springtrap or William at this point, it wouldn't make sense, and they could just take a version of him for the future point in the timeline, like this next option. Option number 2 is the FNAF 3 Fire. This is the first time in the games we see Springtrap, and if this happens, we get a survivor for the collab, we could get Michael Afton as a survivor, which, if you didn't watch my last video, is something I really want to see. In my opinion, this is probably the most likely option, since if FNAF is going to get a chapter and Dead by Daylight, and it's going to be an anniversary chapter, they'll want to get as much stuff into the game for the license, like survivors and a map, cosmetics, stuff like that. Option number 3 is the FNAF 6 location. This is another point in the games where it would make sense for us to get a survivor in the game, with it being Michael Afton again, but I hesitate to believe they would pick this option since Springtrap is damaged and has to rebuild himself in this game, in this part of the timeline, even losing his right arm, and if the entity took them, they would have to be rebuilt, which is possible, but less likely since the entity could just take a non-damaged Springtrap from FNAF 3. Option number 4 is Ultimate Custom Night. This option would only get us William Afton with no survivor. If you don't know, Ultimate Custom Night is like a hell like purgatory for William Afton after the FNAF 6 fire. I could see this option happening lore-wise. The entity would have to transform William back into Springtrap if this option is chosen. If we don't get a survivor for the FNAF chapter, this is most likely the option. Option number 5 is Security Breach. This is probably the second least likely option, since it's heavily theorized that Burntrap and Glitchtrap aren't actually Springtrap and are a different character named the Mimic. And like their name, they are mimicking Springtrap, meaning if the entity is planning on taking Springtrap, it wouldn't be this option. And I doubt Scott would choose to have the Mimic in the game first instead of Springtrap. Maybe for a sequel chapter, if FNAF gets in the game for a second time, the Mimic would be the killer. But for the first time, it has to be Springtrap. And finally, option 6, the movie. If the collab isn't from the games, it would be from the movies, giving us 2 survivors instead of 1, with them being Mike and Vanessa. Some argue it won't be from the FNAF movie because of the license on the FNAF collab only showing Scott and not Blumhouse, but it's still unknown if the collab will be from the games or not, or the movie. If I had to choose my favorite option, it would be option 2, since it would give us the regular Springtrap as the killer, Michael Afton as the survivor, and Fazbear Frights as the map, with not us just being in Fazbear Frights, but also outside of it, like in a parking lot and the woods. I hope you liked the video, and if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe. I will have more FNAF Dead by Daylight videos in the description of the video, so make sure you check them out. I'm super excited for the collab. I'm sure the killer will be Springtrap, but I'm really hoping the survivor, if we get one, is Michael Afton.